Hey, welcome back to the Too Fast channel. In this video, we are going to install a Continental radio into a 99 E320 Mercedes Benz. We're going to replace the factory radio with supposedly this direct plug-in. This particular car has the factory Bose sound system, so the Continental should be compatible with that. How much rewiring I have to do, I'm not sure yet, but we're going to get the factory radio out. So this factory radio connects to the changer via a fiber optic cable. This factory radio does not have Bluetooth or any of those other types of features, and there's no easy solution to add Bluetooth to this radio. There are solutions, but they are expensive. For me, it makes economical sense to replace the unit to get the features that I'm looking for. Also, this volume knob has got issues, which would require taking the unit apart and either modifying the volume knob or replacing it to try and see if that would fix the problem. So I'm just going to replace it with the Continental. I previously did a review on that. You can check out my other videos if you want to see the tabletop review and unboxing of the Continental. I'm got a smaller tripod in the car here, and we'll see how the video goes for installation, because I've got to sit in the car and I've got to try and create dialogue and then not knock over the camera at the same time. So let's get to it. The factory Mercedes-Benz radio uses a couple of different radio keys. They're not the same radio keys that come with the Continental. I was going to show these keys, but I went ahead and test fit these in the radio, and now I can't get them out. So there might be some sort of a release mechanism that I need to employ to get the keys out of the radio. So right now they're kind of stuck in there. Once you put these keys in, there's two little slots down here. You slide these keys all the way in, and it will release the locking tabs and allow you to pull the radio out. These keys are relatively inexpensive. If you're doing this in a Mercedes, you can pick these up off of eBay for and you get 4 of them for like $2.50 or something like that. Anyway, you can see I can't get the keys out, so they're locked in there. Now, this is the first time I've pulled this radio out of this car. This is this looks like this is a Becker replacement unit. So at some point in time, this was replaced. And I don't know anything else about it. Hopefully you can see. If anything's out of frame, I apologize. I only have one space I can put the camera. So we've got our factory plugs. We've got our this is, I believe, a fiber optic interface for the changer. And we have our antenna. So we're going to unplug our antenna. We're going to unplug, yes, the fiber optic interface for the changer, which I won't be using. And then these two plugs here, which there's a little tab right there. You just need to press in on that and it will come out. And on this one, now keep in mind, I've not replaced a radio in a 210 chassis before. So I do have the wiring schematic for this, so I know what wire goes to what. And there's two little tabs there that need to be pressed in. And that comes out. So that's all there is to removing this. Hopefully, since this is a replacement radio, somewhere in the vehicle is the actual lock code, if it does require a lock code. I know a lot of these do. While you're staring at the empty hole, let me see if I can get any of these radio keys out. I'm not sure how they're locked in place. Actually, let me pause the video and see if I can get these keys out of the radio. So I was unable to remove those radio keys from the factory radio. I do have more of those, and when I get back in the shop, I'll show you what those look like, just in case you're wondering what type of radio keys you need to take out this model of Becker radio from an early Mercedes. All right, so with the Continental uses different radio keys. These go in these slots right here, and you need to insert these all the way to remove the radio sleeve. Now, I know in the past some radio sleeves had a top and a bottom. I don't see any indicators of a top and a bottom on this one, so I don't think it makes any difference what orientation you put this into your car. So I'm hoping that this will fit without modification to the inside or the modification to the actual wood bezel that goes around this. So this seems to slide in just fine, and it's recessed from the wood, which will be good because the radio needs to sit flush against the bezel, and then we have a plastic bezel that goes around the radio. It's going to have to sit in there. So that should be okay. When you do install the bezel, as you saw, there's these little metal tabs, and there's a bunch of different little metal tabs all over, on the top, the bottom, and the sides. Not all of these little metal tabs you're going to be able to utilize. Some you can in some cars, other cars you can't. You can go in with a small screwdriver and push in on these tabs. If they go in, they go in. If they don't, they don't. There's not much you can do about that. Try to push down as many of them as possible. I mean, that's your theft prevention mechanism to keep somebody from getting in your car and just pulling out your radio. I mean, if they really want to pull it out, they'll rip your dash apart to get it. But for something cheap like this particular radio, I doubt it's worth a thief's effort to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and push all these tabs all the way around here, and we'll be back momentarily. Okay, so I've got the sleeve installed, and I'm just looking at the main wiring harness plug here. I do have a wiring schematic for the Bose sound system for a 98. The colors are not aligning with the 99. That's something that I can probably figure out. But what I have noticed is if we look at the wiring schematic, let's make sure you can see this. So this is the main plug here, and we're looking at A, and it says that A4 is ignition, and A7 is the battery plus. That would be the constant 12 volt, which off receives current. So A4 and A7. This is the radio schematic for the Continental. Now, if we actually look at the plug that's in the 99 E320, you'll see this A7 is black with a yellow stripe, and the A4 is the red with the white stripe. Well, assuming I have it in frame here. So this is the A4, and this is A7. Now in this car, these wires are reversed. So I'm going to have to depin this plug. This red wire needs to be moved over here, and this one needs to be moved over here. So that is something that I did notice reading some different threads from different people on different forums, that that is a problem on some cars. I wasn't aware if it was going to be a problem on this car, but it obviously is. So the other thing you could do is cut these wires and um, use a butt connector and flip flop them. I'm going to try and depin this connector and move this red wire here and this black and yellow wire here. That's as far as I've gotten so far. I'm creating my own little diagram because these colors are different. But I need to get the power and the ground situated. The A8 wire is the ground, and that's this one, this big brown wire. So that one is correct. I've got to test the other wires. The A6, which should be this one right here, that should be illumination. It looks like it's white with a blue stripe. And this one, which is gray, that's A2. On the radio, there's no function, so I don't know what that one is for. So I've got to go through and actually test these other wires, test the illumination wire to see if it gets 12 volts when I turn on the light. The amp turn-on wire, the antenna remote, that's A5. That's this one right here. That's the blue with a white stripe. I've got to test that because when you um, turn the radio on, this should get power, which turns on the amplifier and or the antenna. So I've got to verify that. I've got to go through and verify that all of these wires are in the correct order. The speaker wires, I'll come back to that. The speaker wires are all up here in this top section, and I do not know if those are correct. I'm going to have to figure out which ones are which because these colors are not lining up. So that's where we're at right now. So right now I've got to switch the constant 12 volt and the switch 12 volt. Okay, so I've been struggling with this for a while, trying to figure out how to depin this connector. And basically, this top piece snaps down here. You've got to use some flat-bladed screwdrivers to pry up the little tabs and pry this piece up and slide it down. Otherwise, I've been fighting with these I've got a bunch of these pin release tools, and I could not get them to work. So it appears to me this needs to be released, slid down, then you can use your pin release tools, stick them into the holes, and you can see right here I've got this one popped out. So for reference, here's how we're doing that. The one that's slid in there is one of, let's see, there's a whole bunch of them here. Let me see, it's one of, it looks sort of like that one right there, except it's a little wider. And I've got that slid in there, and you push on it while you kind of pull on the wire, and it will pop out. So that's what it looks like. And what you're trying to do, I've got another one of these wiring harnesses over here from another car that was cut off. And you can see those little tabs on either side, those little wings that are sticking out. That's what you need to push in. So you need to push those in as you're pulling out the wire. Just remember you've got to pop this top piece off. There's a couple little tabs there and there and there and there. And you should be able to slide that out. You'll have to straighten out the wires to slide it down. If you don't have a pin tool, a pin removal tool like these, you could probably use a couple of really like small flat blade screwdrivers, or I don't know what else you could use to get in there to press those wings down so you can pull the wire out. Needless to say, I've been fighting with this for at least 30 minutes, so I just now got this figured out. I ended up having to go back inside and grab this same wiring connector plug that I cut off another car, and played with that because I was afraid to break the one that was in the car, so I'd rather experiment on this extra one. So that's pretty much what you need to do to depin one of these plugs. It's not easy. So let me get back to it, and then we'll see where we sit. All right, so I got the pins moved around, and I got the top part of the connector put back on. And what I did with my multimeter is I actually went through and I verified the illumination, the antenna, and the amplifier turn on, which I think they're the one and the same, just to make sure. I tried to check the speakers, but because there's an amplifier in play, I can't pop the speakers from this location. Um, so I didn't do any testing with the speakers. I was more concerned about the grounds and the powers in that bottom section of that plug. So all I had to do was move the constant 12 volt and the switch 12 volt around and plug it in, and it works. So we'll just do a preliminary test here. And you can see it powers on. Got it set for aux right at the moment, but and let's switch to the radio. Don't want to play any music, get a copyright strike, but you can see that it works. The subwoofer's working, the amplifier's working, all the speakers are working. So, yeah. So aside from fighting to try and figure out how to remove those wires from the plug to switch them around, pretty much straight plug and play. So everything else was fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this in place. What we have left over, though, is we do have this plug right here, and I'm assuming this is probably for the factory phone. Most likely, that would be my assumption because all the speakers and the amplifier and the subwoofer are working. Got to assume that that is for the factory phone because this vehicle did come with a factory phone with a factory microphone up in the headliner, none of which I plan on using. So I'm going to tape this up and stick it back in there. Okay, so after doing some testing, I tried to slide this radio into the sleeve, and I discovered something else. I believe I saw this on some forum somewhere. The removal keys that you use to release the radio from the sleeve come in and they press down on right here. Now the problem is these don't move because of the plastic material that's inside the dash right here. So you can't slide the radio in because normally when you go to slide it in, the radio would push these in and then these would pop out and lock the radio into the sleeve. Well, yeah, they don't move on this car, so I'm going to either have to modify the sleeve or modify the plastic insert inside of the actual car itself. So I've got to pull this all apart and try and figure something out. All right, so what I did for today was remove the radio and took the sleeve out, slid the radio into the sleeve, and then slid the whole assembly into the car. That's not the ideal way to install it because somebody can just pull the radio out. But frankly, even with it locked into the sleeve, you can still pry it out and destroy the dash in the process. So um, for right now, that's how I'm going to do it until I can have some more free time and go in there, probably with a Dremel, and cut some notches in that plastic so that I can secure the sleeve in there correctly, and then which will allow the radio to slide and lock into place. I'm not going to do that today because it's pretty warm, and I've been at this now for a couple of hours. But anyway, this is what it looks like in the W210, and it's a good match for the interior. It's a little bit brighter. The illumination is brighter than the other illumination in the car, but that's not a big deal to me. But it would have been nice if this had a dimmer where you could tone it down a little bit. Not a big deal. Anyway, I'll probably do a separate video with how to use the radio and how to set it up, how to connect your phone to it via Bluetooth and so on. But this video isn't going to cover that aspect. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this video covering the installation of the Continental radio into the Mercedes-Benz W210. I think I covered most of the trouble areas that you might run into installing this on your own. And last thing to note is I did not install the remote microphone. I just don't really need that. I'm going to rely on the internal microphone right there, and we'll see how that works. All right, we'll catch you in the next video.